Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. And it's exciting to share some of our story with you all. And it's been really interesting as well, listening to a few of you others speaking about your experiences too. And it's interesting how many similarities there actually are, even though the businesses are quite different. And it's pretty clear, there's similar struggles going on. So it's great to be able to connect and share those stories and learn from each other. So Cheese Therapy was a little business that my partner Sam and I started back in 2015. And the idea basically came from a holiday that we went on in Vanuatu. We were on holiday without the kids. We were with another couple and we were there for a week, having a great time, just living it up. And Vanuatu, being an ex-French colony, has a lot of French stuff still there. So the supermarket, the Bon Marché, this huge big deli of cheeses and terrines and all these beautiful produce in there that, even though I've done a lot of traveling, I was quite surprised to see this here in Vanuatu where we were. And then when we came back home, back to the Sunshine Coast, we had moments where we really wanted to recreate some of what we'd experienced on this holiday. And we really realized that we don't have this here. Delis in that way don't really exist anymore unless you're in, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane to an extent. In regional places, especially rurally, there's just nothing. The big supermarkets have come along and really just homogenized the whole deli scene, and many other food sort of aspects of just it's so homogenized. And that's when we realized that, how are we going to do this? We want to eat this cheese, this amazing cheese. Surely other people want to eat this amazing cheese. And we couldn't find it. So we just thought, you know what, let's just get it ourselves. Let's just go and bring the cheese here and make it happen. And sure enough, we've quickly learned that cheese people are very fanatical. And it was, people want their cheese. They love their cheese. So we launched with our friends who at the time, they owned a wine bar in Brisbane. So we decided to launch there. Sam had a very helpful friend called Peter Russell Clark. I'm sure a few of you have probably heard him before. So he's like the king of cheese in Australia. So he came and helped us launch in Brisbane, and we signed up 100 people straight away to our cheese club, which back then, this is the way our business looked. It was one product, which was our cheese. We didn't even have a name for it. We just called it our cheese club. And it was a box of 4 cheeses that changed every single month, that people didn't get to pick. We just picked what the 4 cheeses would be at 4 different categories: a soft, hard, stinky, and a blue. And it was cheeses from around the world. So it always had one Australian cheese in the box, but the rest of the cheeses were international cheeses and boutique artisan cheeses. So they weren't cheeses that you would typically find in, certainly not in any supermarkets or IGAs. They would just sometimes maybe a little deli, but that was sort of it. We made sure that it was a really kind of special product. And very quickly, as word got around about Cheese Therapy, we really found very loyal, trusting customers once they'd tried our product and realised the quality. People then just trusted that every month they would get this box of cheese that they didn't get to pick, and it was awesome. It was amazing. So that's always been something really important to us, was right from the start, really making sure that the cheeses that we selected were of a high standard. Now, back when we started Cheese Therapy, neither Sam or I knew anything about cheese, apart from the fact that we really liked eating it. But we didn't know anything about cheese, and neither of us come from a food background at all. Like as Tara was saying, I'm an artist and a graphic designer. Sam comes from a marketing background. So this was quite new to us. So right from the get-go, we knew that to make this work and to have good produce, we needed to find someone really quickly who does know about cheese, who does know about the stories and what makes cheese amazing, as opposed to something you do find in a supermarket. So we found we found a great wholesaler that based in Melbourne, but we're in Brisbane as well, and they had a cheese guru guy that worked for them. And so we became quite close with him and chatting to him all the time. We learned so much about cheese in such a short period of time. It's amazing. But something as well that was really, really important for us was, and we actually didn't realise this when we started, it was probably something we learnt within a few months of starting, was that there's so much more to cheese than just the way it tastes. It's amazing, the stories of the cheesemakers, and a lot of the cheese that comes from Europe is steeped in so much history. So we realised this is what we need to do. We need to tell these stories, because how do you sell someone cheese through a screen? Being an online business, people can't smell it. They can't really see it properly either, because the photos only show you so much. So it was very clear that we needed to do this by sharing stories and history. And people eat with their brain. So if something sounds amazing and they love the story and they feel connected to it, they're very quick to invest straight away in that product. So, because when you're selling online, it's anything that's a product, it's very, very different to selling in a store. Like in a store, you walk in and it's all about the packaging and saying on the packaging what the product is and how you present it. Online, it's not like that. People aren't walking into your shop, and sure, you can show them a photo of your packaging, but it really doesn't mean anything to people. And, it's really easy to just keep flicking past it. But if you've got something engaging where it's a super gooey photo of, it's not the cheese in the packet, it's the gooiness of, the cheese guts kind of spilling out onto your screen, and getting on there and having a video of making it fun and talking about the makers, and people then really get connected and engaged, and all they want to do then is they really want that cheese. They want that product because of the way it makes them feel, and when it arrives, they remember that and they experience it all over again. So this is kind of how we really built the bones of our business. It wasn't so much about selling a product, it was selling a story. And that's how we based all of our marketing and everything around. And back then in the early days, well, probably even beyond the early days, for most of our business up until probably the last 12 months, we've been built on Facebook. So we did a lot of Facebook, just live videos, advertising. Everything was very heavily Facebook marketing. It's also been, I don't know if anyone's ever been onto our Facebook and seen any of our videos, but we make it actually a thing that it's not an overly produced looking thing either. We want it to look really authentic and be very authentic. So, a lot of the time it's just, the selfie going, hey guys, just make it really candid, but intentionally candid, with purpose, because then you come across so much more authentic, because you are actually being authentic. You're not orchestrating anything, and then people don't think that it looks fake or not real. And so that's these are kind of some of the tactics that we really use to build it up. So that was kind of I feel like I've got so much to say in a little bit of time, so sorry if I'm going too fast. So that was kind of how we built it in terms of marketing in a nutshell. But meanwhile, we had all the actual operations of the business going on. So up until the beginning of 2020, the whole thing was only Sam and I. There was just the two of us. We did all the buying cheese, marketing cheese, cutting cheese, wrapping cheese, packing cheese, eating cheese, shipping cheese. Like, it was only just the two of us. And I think that even though it was sometimes frustrating and a little frantic, it was very important, because we really got to know quite intimately all of the aspects of our business, because we weren't getting someone else to do it. We were doing it ourselves, and we clearly understood all of it, like how you need to wrap cheese the best, what kind of paper is the best to wrap it in, how long it should take to wrap 100 pieces of cheese, 1,000 pieces of cheese, what kind of packaging works the best, what handles itself through traveling. There's so many aspects that, because we were the ones actually doing it, we got to really, really know it. And I think that was another very important thing that helped us to scale really quickly when we had to, because we had done all of the groundwork ourselves. We also built really great relationships with all of our suppliers and producers, as well as our customers, because if you've got a supplier that you are well connected to, who you have a great relationship and you're kind to each other, then when you actually really need something really fast and you pick up the phone and call them, they're most likely going to just bend over backwards to help you because of the relationship that you've formed with them. So that's been something as well for us that's been really important, and that certainly came through last year when our business went next level. So it wasn't actually COVID that made our business go next level. It was actually the Australian bushfires at the end of 2019. So what happened was, as I was saying before, we only really had one product, and it was 4 cheeses from around the world. And cheese is a type of product where you have to know in advance, you have to order in advance or make in advance the cheese. So Christmas being an important period of time for our cheesemakers, particularly the cheesemakers who get a lot of tourist trade to their cellar door, they all make this huge batch of cheese, so much more than normal for that period of time. So when the 2019 bushfires hit at the end of the year, Millawa Cheese, they had completely lost all of their holiday trade because of the fires. They had tons of cheese that they'd made for that time that was ripe and ready to go, that they were going to have to just throw out if they couldn't sell it. But they had nowhere to sell it because no one else wanted the cheese, because all their other suppliers were already stocked up with their normal orders. So Millawa, the CEO of Millawa, Credwin, she phoned us and just said, look, this is what's happened. Is there any way you guys can help out? Is there anything you can do? So then Sam and I just thought, well, maybe we should make our February month pack. We'll just hold off the cheese that we've put on order for that, and we'll make that an all Millawa pack. So the 4 cheeses were only Millawa. We thought, we'll do that, and that way we can buy, a decent quantity of cheese off them. And Sam actually got on his phone and did a selfie live video, just putting a call out to our fan base on Facebook, just saying, this is what's happened. Can you please help? Millawa really need to move this cheese. They're in the world of trouble because they've lost all that trade. So we just kind of did that video, and we thought we'll probably sell around 200 packs. Within a few days, we'd sold 2,000 Millawa cheese packs. And we're just like, oh my gosh, we need to order more cheese. So we ring Credwin and go, yeah, Credwin, can you triple that order that we just made? And we ended up, I think the whole month, we had to just keep ordering more cheese off them because people just were really fast to jump on and help out. And it was funny because we thought that was our big month for the year done until Christmas time. But then we rolled straight into COVID after that. So then we had all the other cheesemakers ringing us going, can you please do the same for us for what you did for Millawa? We're like, yeah, okay. And then we just kept, every time we put cheese packs up on our site, they would just sell out, just constant sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out. That's when we developed our second product. So we went from just our normal cheese club box to creating the therapy box, which we still have now. And the therapy box is only Australian cheeses. So it's 4 different cheeses from 4 different Australian makers. And then we still have our original box, which we now call the Globetrotter, which is the international cheeses as well. So then, as well as that, we then created other packs that were purely just cheesemaker packs. So, for example, a Millawa cheese pack or a Tarago River pack, and it would just, the 4 cheeses in that box was just for the one cheesemaker. And with those cheese packs, we let the cheesemaker curate that box to what's seasonal for them at the time. And then because of just how quickly things went up, we ran into lots of other problems very fast as well. We're running out of packaging. We just needed extra sets of hands to help us physically pack. Australia Post started to get slammed, which they still are now. So that at the time we were only sending via Australia Post. So we just had all these other problems occur because of how quickly things were scaling, and we even ran out of room in the warehouse that we were in. So we had to find somewhere really fast to move our packing. But like I said, because of the relationships that we built with all these people previous, we got people really quick to help us. Packaging people, even though the packaging people couldn't physically create what we needed fast enough, they found other people or recommended other people and helped us. It really was quite a collaborative effort to just scale, and it really did feel a lot at the time like you're just hustling, like it was quite stressful. But the one thing that we never did was we never doubted the process. Like, we never once thought we couldn't do it. And I think that it's really important that you really do need to back yourself. People say it all the time and it sounds really cliche, but it's so important, because when it gets really full on and it gets really stressful and everything piles up, as soon as you start to doubt and all these little things creep in, that's when cracks appear and it, might not quite work. But you have to just really back yourself and just trust the process. And especially if it's something that you've been doing for a long time and you know what you're doing and you know that you can do it, just because things just go erratic and it piles up, it doesn't mean that you can't still do it. It just means that you have to do it faster. And don't be afraid to ask for help either. It's really important. Communication is so important, and asking for help, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you're weak. And I actually think that it makes you strong if you can ask someone for help. That was kind of our 2020. So now, moving on from it just being the little business with just Sam and I, we've got about 20 staff. We've got our logistics now is not here on the Sunshine Coast anymore. We've got a warehouse down in Geelong, which now is all our logistics. So all our purchasing, logistics, customer service, all happens from down in Geelong. And here on the Sunshine Coast we call this the sales and marketing section of our business. So Sam and I, we've got an admin person, and now we've got a few new staff who are onboarding people, because our business now has got another level added on, which we've only just launched this month, called Artisan's Bend. So now when you go to cheesetherapy.com.au, it actually goes to a site, Artisan's Bend, which is our new marketplace that we've created for artisan producers. So basically, because we realised that from what we learnt with working with our cheesemakers and telling their stories and selling their products, we realise now that we can do that for other makers as well. So that's the process we're in at the moment, is creating this marketplace for small producers. And because of the scale of Cheese Therapy, we now have a delivery partner that we've been working with for just over 12 months now, called Home Delivery Service, HDS, which are refrigerated vehicles that deliver to about 80% of Australia, straight to their door. But to have an account with HDS, you need to have a minimum per week that you send, which I can't remember the numbers. I never get too involved with the actual numbers, but small producers can't tap into that because they don't have the numbers. So what we're now developing is a 3PL logistics where we can warehouse products of small producers and they can tap into our HGS network through our account, and it's an extra service that we can provide for our producers through our marketplace. So, yes, I feel like I've done a lot of talking. Yeah.
We want to hear from you, though, so there's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like, is it, I guess questions, I suppose, like...
There's been a couple come up in the chat. We're a bit tight on time, and we could ask more questions in the panel a bit later on, but I'll just ask the few that have come up in the chat. Fran said, do you stock Coolamon cheese? Great local producer in South New South Wales. Oh, yeah.
They're not one of our main cheese makers, but we have done some Coolamon cheese, and this is another thing, because of the marketplace now, we actually can bring in more of these other cheese makers that we haven't been able to do in our packs, because what happens is some of them are a little bit too small where they actually can't physically make the amount of cheese that we need, but now we can kind of let these guys in through this network, which is pretty exciting.
So, and Dana asks, is your marketplace all food-based?
Yes, it's all food-based. We've had a few of our producers ask if we're going to do anything non-food based, because some of our producers go into other areas as well, particularly like beauty. Like one of our cheese makers is sheep's milk. It's all sheep's milk cheese, and they have their own farm and they do some, moisturizers and things. So I'm not sure. We're sort of not sure if we're going to go into there, but at the moment it's just focused on, it's just food. Yeah.